How you doing? I'm Gerald at the ISC and International Survival Council. Um, I want to speak to you on winning and losing. I was watching TV the other day and I seen something about the women's soccer team and how they've been catching heat um, over being being overreacting or celebrating too much or running the score up. Um, you know, Here's the thing: if you can't be a champion until you learn to suffer loss. I mean, that's the bottom line. Anybody who's ever competed seriously in anything knows that learning how to lose is just as important as learning how to win. Um, I used to have this. In fact, it was the highlight of everything I'd ever done in sports. Um, tell you a short little story. I was heading to the state cross country meet, and my coach was expecting me to do really well because my basketball coach used to have to make us run cross country just to get in shape for basketball. Well, I had made the mistake of stopping at a store and getting a couple of hot dogs with chili because I was hungry. When we had stopped off at a store when we had almost gotten halfway there. Um, so, of course, after a little ways out, I had to stop and it came back up. And so my coach was wondering why I wouldn't come in first, second, third, fourth. And here I come running in 32nd place. And he was cussing me. I mean, you just had to know this coach. His name was Charlie James. This man would be all over you. I mean, he was a winner. They don't make men like him anymore. They don't make coaches like the coaches I used to have anymore. They were winners. And all of them had suffered loss, in their times of being active in sports or anything like that. And they knew that, in order to be a true champion, whether it be boxing, MMA, anything like that, they knew that you had to learn as much about loss as learn about winning. I think it's just stupid that they're coming down on the women's soccer team for celebrating or because it might humiliate the other team, but let's go back a few years. Let's just say back in when Jesse Owens went over and made all of Hitler's guys look bad. All the Nazis look terrible. You see, you gotta understand something. The Olympics, any type of sports and stuff like that, that's a show of strength. Had the Germans won every event in the Olympics back in Hitler's time, um, I'm sure he would have definitely had no doubts that his race was absolutely superior. I mean, he thought that anyway, but can you imagine if he would have won all the events as well in the Olympics and thought America was weak? Sports, in a way, we've got the best athletes on the planet, but there's other athletes that's just as good as our athletes that just maybe they excel in different things and maybe they don't have the opportunities we have. That's what's so great about America. But what made America such great winners is suffering much loss. And of course, God. That's a no-brainer. We need to get back to our roots with God. But the thing about it is it doesn't matter. If you're a true competitor, you don't want somebody to take it easy on you. I remember my brother-in-law used to take me out and we used to play basketball. And I remember one time he beat me. I was just in the 8th grade, but I'd already had some trophies and stuff, from JV and 8th grade basketball and stuff like that, and some other stuff I had done. And I remember one day he took me out and he beat me probably 10, 15 straight games, 10 to nothing, because he had this one hook shot he would do, and he was so big and muscular, I just couldn't get around his body. And he would kind of hold me down with his arm. He was so strong, and then just shoot this little short hook shot, and blam, just he'd beat me 10 to nothing every game. And I went home. I broke every trophy I had in the house. But you know what I did after that? I went out onto the basketball court, and I got better and better and better, and ended up being one of the better players to ever come out of the state of Virginia in basketball. Good at track. Everything I did, I was good at. But there's God-given talent, and then there's natural. I mean, there's talent. That's you have to work for, and not everybody has a God-given natural talent, and some things you have to work for. I wasn't always the best basketball player. I wasn't always the best at whether it be submissions or because I used to be I used to teach MMA classes as well, and that's another lesson. I know guys that used to come into class and they would get so mad they would beat the mats because they couldn't tap me when I was training them and stuff. And this went on for months and months and months, and a lot of them would quit, but the ones that would keep coming back, they all of a sudden got this enlightenment. And that was when we had newer people coming to class, and they had been there 2 or 3 months, just a couple months at times. But by the time they were there 3, 4, 5 months, they were just tearing these new people up. And then it was like a light went off, and they realized, oh, yeah, well, we're not beating Gerald. He's the instructor, and we're not able to beat him yet. But I never held nothing back. Most MMA instructors or especially these karate studios and this and that, they won't teach you everything, and there's a difference in the art of martial arts and actual fighting. But a lot of these schools, they won't, and that teach martial arts, they won't teach you everything because they never want you to be as good as the instructor, because that's their money-making scheme, and I always figured I would always lay all my cards on the table. I would teach everybody anything. If I showed you how to choke somebody, I would teach you how to get out of a choke. If I showed you an arm bar, I would show you the reversal, or to the escape to it. If I showed you a heel hook or an ankle lock, I would teach you how to get out of it, limp leg out of it, whatever, And there's much to be said about that, because as I was saying, there was like a light went off the guys who stayed there, because the new guys that came in, they were beating them over and over and over, and then they realized, wow, we're really learning something here. And so anyway, there's a lot to be said for losing. You can lose to the best in the world, and what's that make you? Second best in the world. If you get to where you are losing to the very best in the world and they're barely beating you, that makes you probably one of the second best in the world. If you're losing to the best tennis player, basketball player, whatever, in the state, one-on-one, but they're barely beating you, that makes you one of the second best players. But there's also a mental game when it comes to any kind of sports or anything. But as far as the women, you know what I say about that? I say run them into the ground, beat them, because this is other countries you're playing, and they need to know that America is a superior country, because, and I don't mean that in a we're better than everybody way. I just mean it that other countries, that do not believe in God, that have no moral, godly compass, these other religions, is all they understand is strength. If we're going to go to war, go to war. Don't just halfway go to war. If we're going to fight, fight. If we're going to talk, have peace talks or whatever. But if we go to war, you go to war with all your might. If you're going to fight, you fight with all your might. Even in the Bible, King David, Joshua, all those guys, when they went to war, they went to war. There was no playing around about it. You fought Israel, and you had to fight Israel. And there's just countless of things in history where people have won, and there's just been this war cry. There's been this, because you've accomplished something. You're not the ones that's sweating on a soccer field, 6 days a week, 5 days a week. You're not the one who's training MMA 6 days a week, sometimes 7. But you always need a day of rest of anything. But I mean, you're not the one who's putting in sometimes 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and maybe more, maybe less. It's them. So when they win and they celebrate, they've earned that. They've earned that. No matter who it is. If it was them beating us, they've worked just as hard as we've worked. Maybe we just had a little more talent than they did. Or maybe they didn't work as hard as us. But I assure you, those other countries that have a very strict culture, I guarantee you they trained just as hard, if not harder, than us. So it's nonsense to say don't celebrate. Now, should they run up in their faces and be pointing in their faces? Ooh. Well, you need to have some class about yourself too. But there's nothing wrong with celebrating. There's nothing wrong, with scoring. That's why basketball teams will put in their second, third. Sometimes football teams put in their second, third, fourth string, whatever, when the scoreboard gets up so high. And it's not about, at that point, it's not about winning. It's about letting everybody play in the Super Bowl or the World Series or whatever. Or, that's why you do substitutions. I used to have this one coach that, he was ruthless though. He would set his second, third, fourth stringers on the bench in basketball, no matter if he was up 70, 80 points. And I used to not like that, because I got animals in here. I used to not like that because I thought that the other kids should get a chance to play. I mean, if you're up 15, 20 points and there's only 2 or 3 minutes to go, there's not going to be some miracle comeback. And if there is, you put your starters back in if you start to notice a sudden quick change. That's just common coaching. Anyway, that's all I got to say. There's something to be said about winning. There's something to be said about losing. Lose and show class. Win and show class. But there's nothing wrong with celebrating. There's nothing wrong with the way they kept scoring. There's nothing wrong with any of that. So take it easy on them. And you know what? That's the trouble with it these days. We're raising up a bunch of pansies. I feel like they all deserve a trophy. And what I was going to say about that cross country, when I came in 32nd place, that used to be one of my most favorite things that I kept for a lifetime. Because the first place ribbon was like this royal, deep, beautiful blue, right? And when I came in 32nd, they were only given 35 ribbons, and there was about 100 and some kids running. Well, I got 32nd, and my color of blue was so light that it was almost transparent looking. But I kept that. That was one of my favorite things I ever kept, and I kept it for years until somebody stole it out. When they stole my car. But anyway, that was my prized possession of everything I ever won, because I thought it was so funny that my shade of blue was so light getting 32nd place. Should everybody get a ribbon? No. Should everybody get a trophy? Absolutely not. You got to teach your kids how to win and lose. It's a part of life. It's life lessons. You learn just as much, if not more, losing than you do winning. And you need to think about these things. We're raising up a generation of pansies by giving everybody a trophy, everybody a ribbon. No one's learning how to work for nothing. You need to think about these things. Even in the military, there's a no stress law. They got right now, you're not allowed to put too much stress on the people in boot camp. Well, what's going to happen when they get over and get to war? They're going to be running for cover instead of standing up brave and fighting, unless something kicks in, their natural instinct of being able to compete, or their fight or flight kicks in and they decide to fight instead of flight. Other than that, it's a sad day in our military when our drill sergeants are not allowed to yell and make you, do push-ups till you drop and make you run and run. We got to get these men in shape, fighting shape. They're not going off to play a sport at this point. They're going off to either die or live for this country. So this is especially upsetting in the military, the way they're taking away the fact that you can't be smoked anymore, and that's just another term for PT, whatever you want to call it. It's a sad day when we're sending people off to war that's not prepared for war, especially in the military. Forget sports at this moment. Our military people should be trained to fight. They should be trained under stress. They should be trained to fire under stress, be shot down under stress. They should be trained to do everything they're doing under stress. You think the Navy SEALs go out there and patty cake those guys along, the ones that don't make it, next thing you know, we'll have obese Navy SEALs. Where does it end? We got to quit this ignorance. Anyway, good day. God bless. Pray for me as I pray for you. In Jesus' name. I'm Gerald Wilson from the International Survivor Council on winning and losing.